This should look familiar. Now we're talking about the other two biomolecules of life. I'm going to quickly review the first two that we looked at. Hopefully you found the TED Talk interesting so you could see how monomers and polymers really surround you and are really important in the world. Now let's get a little bit smaller again. I'm just going to kind of zip through these things. If you remember, all living things are carbon-based and have four major molecules: carbs, nucleic acids, proteins, and lipids. All four of those molecules are made out of small pieces called monomers, like beads, and if you hook them up in a long chain, you get a polymer. So carbs, you have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. The little pieces, the little beads, are called monosaccharides, and if you string up lots of monosaccharides, you get a necklace of sorts called a polysaccharide. Carbs are for energy, some for structure. Very simple sugars, glucose, galactose, sucrose, would be monomers. If you string lots of those up in a row, you get a polysaccharide such as starch, cellulose, and glycogen. We also looked at nucleic acids like DNA and RNA, made out of the same stuff as carbs, except they also include nitrogen and phosphorus. The little pieces that make up nucleic acids are called nucleotides. String up lots of nucleotides together and you get a nucleic acid, very conveniently named for you. Used to store and transmit genetic information, our examples are DNA and RNA. Now let's look at proteins. Proteins are made out of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. A monomer, the smallest piece of a protein, is called an amino acid. You may have heard of these before. Maybe you hear about getting your amino acids from your food or whatever. Proteins are all over your body. They're ubiquitous, and they're made out of different combinations of amino acids. So it's really important that you do get your amino acids that you need each day. We know over 20 of them. Some your body can make, some you need to get from food. If you take lots of amino acids, take a look at the picture to the right, and string them up in a row, you make a protein. The fancy name for a protein is called a polypeptide. Proteins are so much more than what's in a hamburger. It's so much more than what's in meat. They are so important in your body, it's crazy. And throughout all life, not just humans and not just your body. Some things, now this is a very small list of what proteins do. Some proteins control reaction rates as enzymes. They speed reactions up. Some proteins help regulate cell processes. Some build cells. They make like a skeleton for the cells. Some proteins are for transporting things. Some help fight disease. So in your body you have antibodies. Those are all protein-based. Proteins are super important. Examples of proteins would be enzymes. Keratin is a protein in your skin that helps keep it water repellent. Insulin helps break down sugar so your body can digest that. Proteins are super important. Lastly, we have lipids. Lipids are fancy words basically for fats and waxes. Lipids are pretty simple, made only out of carbon and hydrogen. They don't really have a pattern of monomers because if you look at the picture to the right, these are just some various lipids. They don't look anything at all alike. I mean, some of them might to you, but to an organic chemist, they would see that these are very, very different in how they're set up. So there is no set pattern of monomers or polymers for fats and waxes. What they are used for: storing energy, more of a long-term storage, for making membranes around cells and other parts, making waterproof coverings. Some leaves have a waxy cuticle on them. That's a lipid. Insulation. Fat helps keep heat in. Examples of lipids would be cholesterol, which you've heard of before. Phospholipids make up cell membranes. Vegetable oil would be an example of a lipid. Again, another molecule of life. All four of these things make up all living organisms. All four of these molecules have simple parts called monomers, and as you put lots of monomers together in a row, you make a bigger molecule called a polymer. And that is the basics of the biomolecules of life. Refer to your note packet for what you need to do next. You're going to have to do a worksheet, and then we're coming up on the end of the unit here, so you'll be doing a concept map with me before your test.